You're live, my friend.
Welcome to the best sports betting show on the planet. This is WagerTalk Today. I am your host, Andy Lang. It is $5 Tuesday, and we are jam-packed. We are looking ahead to NFL Week 1. We got to try and get out ahead of these numbers. We're going to dive deep into college football. Again, we got to get out ahead of these numbers, and we're going to take a look at the MLB slate today. So if we're trying to lock in the best numbers and win early, this is where you need to be. Gianni's recording with Contender Series, so I'll give you the Steam report. From what I can see, Ralph Michaels is going to join us. We're going to talk Boise State, USF. We're going to look at the Eagles and Cowboys, and then we're going to look at a chart involving Week 1 NFL underdogs. Bryan Power is going to join us. We're going to talk Miami, Ohio versus Wisconsin. We're going to do Phillies and Mets. I'll do a recap, and I'll do the Dana White Contender Series, making a case for the underdogs for tonight's Contender Series. So thanks so much for joining us live. Hit the like button. Leave us a comment in the comment section, and make sure you are subscribed to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Football season is absolutely here. Make sure you're subscribed. Join the WagerTalk family. Get notified when all of these videos go live and when they're released. So it's $5 Tuesday, guys. You know that. It is the best value in all of sports betting. Every single capper has their top play up for just $5. Same best bets we're firing on for the price of a cup of coffee. I got my cup of coffee here. Stack them, mix them. Try someone new. Try your favorite handicap or whatever you do. Do not miss out. My $5 bet every Tuesday is Contender Series. We're fresh off a win last week. It is locked in, and so are dozens more. You take advantage of Ralph Michaels. Take advantage of Bryan Power. Anybody you want, your favorite handicapper, or try somebody new. $5 Tuesday is live. All right, let's bring in Ralph Michaels. Let's talk Boise State, USF, Eagles, Cowboys, and the chart. Ralph, happy Tuesday, man. How are you?
Hey, I hope everyone celebrated the birthday yesterday. Wager Talk is now 11 years and 1 day old.
It's it's amazing. So, all right, Ralph. Let's get to Boise State and USF. This is an interesting game. I mean, Boise pretty much has lost like 90% of their rushing yards from last year, Ashton Genty, but they are returning their quarterback. USF, they're replacing running backs and wide receivers with the transfer portal, but their coaching staff is still going to be a little bit consistent. We got Boise State. Little movement in here down to -6. I know this was at 1.7 and 6.5. The over-under is 63. What's your take on Boise State in South Florida?
Well, listen, even with the loss of Ashton Genty, who came up 27 yards short of Barry Sanders' all-time single-season rushing record, the Broncos are still one of 11 teams in the FBS to have their entire full-time coaching staff back. That is a lot of continuity. Now, missing Genty is going to be a big deal, but this offensive line is not only the best in the Mountain West, it's one of the top O-lines in the country. 4 returning starters are back, including an All-American, and the one starter they have to replace is from a player who started 13 games 2 years ago, only started 3 games last year, and got injured. To me, that is basically returning your entire offensive line. Again, now you have to understand that Maddox Madsen's numbers likely are going to go down a bit. When you have a guy that's rushing for that much, when you run the play action, there's a lot of open receivers. That's going to be the toughest thing for them to focus. I do say they have a solid running back, and with this O-line, I have no question he is still going to top 1,000 yards. So not quite the drop-off that you would expect. But I look at USF, and this is a team I like very much so. You look at Alex Golesh. He took over a team that had, I think, 7 wins out of 40 prior to him taking. No, they were 4-29 going back for the last 3 years. But getting them to 7-6 back-to-back years has been a step. This year, they have solid returning people, including a quarterback. Now, remember, their quarterback, who 2 years ago threw for 2,300 yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and rushed for 800 yards, was injured after a couple of starts last year. I think there's going to be positivity there. 2 years ago, he also had 38 sacks. The O-line much improved this season. Now, I did go to the database, and it does tell us that in Game 1 in college football, if it's an FBS versus FBS team, home dogs since 2014 are 58-36, 61%. A very positive number there. And then you look at Boise. This is a 5:30 start. They moved it to 5:30 to kick off the college football season on 30 couple hours early. Boise's making that trip from Boise, Idaho to Tampa, Florida, where it's going to be 90 plus degrees, 80 plus humidity, and it's going to feel like 115 degrees. That's a tough situation for a team wearing dark blue jerseys on the road in Florida in August. USF is a team I have on the rise up this year. I feel comfortable taking the 6 points in this game. The underdog, my best bet, first best bet in college football.
All right, I like this. So, Ralph, talk to us about what the handicapping is like these days now. I mean, you're going into the season. This is completely different than what it was 10 years ago. Heck, even 5 years ago. How are you doing this research, trying to figure out this transfer portal and NIL? Or is this just, we're taking it one step at a time because it is so new?
No, Andy, great point. And I think the biggest difference is my power ratings. I come back from old school, working for Phil Steele and North Coast Sports and Power Sweep and with Mark Lawrence and the Gold Sheet. And I have learned to do a very good set of power ratings. 3 or 4 years ago, Andy, I would use my power ratings week 1 religiously. Well, now I throw those power ratings out the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. I still do them. I still update them. But until I actually get to see these teams play or study them enough, I don't use those power ratings. So it's much more important to look at NIL, the transfer kids, in the upper conferences because they have many more transfer than the lower conferences. The lower conferences only lose people. They're going to get very few upgrades in positions because very few players transfer down. So it's just a different way we handicap. I look at form. I look at returning units. I look at those that do have cohesiveness. But again, throw out the power ratings the first few weeks. At least in my book, I do. But to me, I'm conservative week 1, and I'll continue to get more involved with deeper cards as the season progresses through the first few weeks.
Let's move to NFL. Let's take a look at week 1. I know you got a chart coming up, but let's talk about this. How about them Cowboys? Have you watched the Cowboys doc, by the way, on Netflix? Have you watched it?
I have not. I think I watched the first year it was out. I watched it, but I don't like watching those things because it affects you so much the way you handicap. So I like not watching them, put the blinders on and just go on. But, in this game, Andy, you look at what these teams did last year and you think this line should be probably higher. Super Bowl champs. Let me run down these rankings. Offense and defense. Yards per game, Dallas 17-28, Philly 8-1. Points per game, Dallas 21-31, Philly 5-1. Yards per play, Dallas 20-28, Philadelphia 11-1. That kind of team with a Philadelphia Eagles offense that's returning 10 of their starters seems to me they should be favored by more than a touchdown. But let's hold on a second. I think Micah Parsons is probably Micah Parsons to the Dallas Cowboys in that run game is probably the most important defensive player in the NFL. And I think he's at least worth a point, maybe a point and a half. Philadelphia ran over the Dallas Cowboys last year. By the way, Philly has covered 5 of 6 in the series. And if Micah Parsons isn't there, that is a big concern for me. Philly, of course, outscored Dallas 75-13 the last 2 meetings last season. Now, those numbers are strong. Dallas is a train wreck. Dallas has a new head coach. And remember, Jerry Jones only hires new coaches that will do exactly what he tells them to do. So it's a very lame duck head coach in a situation. Heck, Brian Schottenheimer couldn't get hired as an OC anywhere, yet he gets a Dallas Cowboy head coaching job. Big concern to me. The thing that stops me from using Philly in this are some trends. We're going to talk about division. We're going to talk about week 1 dogs, but I want to bring this up as well. When division teams play each other in week 1, you're familiar with the stadiums. You stay in the same hotels. You haven't had any film on this year's changes. So if you just blindly bet, Andy, teams in week 1 that are in a division game with double revenge, 63.5%. If you look at road teams, division road teams with double revenge, 70%. And division road teams like the Cowboys, as a away dog of 4.5 or more, 21-5, 81%. So this is the situation where I've got a lot of great trends on Dallas. My eye test and numbers tell me Philly, so I'm going to lay off the side. What I am going to do is, we talked about this Dallas defense, we've talked about this Philadelphia offense, and I think it's a very fair price at the Philadelphia Eagles team total over 27.5 as they get their Super Bowl rings next Thursday.
I'm a huge Phillies. I'm a huge Eagles fan. I think they're always underrated. I can't think of a Super Bowl team that is talked about less than this team in terms of expectations. It's just like everyone's being like, they're going to regress. It starts with Jalen Hurts. I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan. Again, how many times are we going to count this guy out? All he does is win literally everywhere he goes. But hey, I'm going to follow the trends, and yeah, a touchdown is a lot. It's a lot. I don't trust the Cowboys.
Andy?
Yeah.
Since 2004, there has not been a repeat winner of the NFC East.
I know. I can't wrap my head around that. They're so good. They're built for the regular season, playoffs. Whatever. Chat. They're underrated. You go look at power rankings. They're not even the top 3 or 4. It's like this team beat everybody last year. All right, Ralph, it is $5 Tuesday. What do you have up for everyone?
I do have a $5 Nerf feed play loaded, and make sure you check out my Nerf feed plays every day on TikTok and YouTube TV. I do the free guide as well on my homepage, wt.buzz/RM.
All right, great stuff from Ralph Michaels. So the big takeaway, Ralph, is we got to look at these underdogs in week 1. That's kind of the
let's look at that chart, Andy, and let's show how much we have to look at those underdogs. This shocked the heck out of me, and there's a couple things I want to say here. I put out a lot of trends, I put out a lot of angles, but these trends and angles are probably only 20% of my handicapping. So don't fall in love because you see one number on one chart for one team. It still is only going to be, you got to look at situations, you got to look at matchups, you got to look at history, you got to look at, a group injury. But when you look at NFL Week 1 dogs, what impresses me about this chart is I went from 2009 on the left-hand side, since 2012 on the right-hand side, and you're consistent in all 4 categories, and it's been even better since 2012, since 2009. But take a look at the top line, Andy. If you blindly bet every Week 1 dog since 2009, you've cashed 54%, 55% since 2012. I talked about division dogs. If you blindly played every division dog in the NFL since 2009, 65%, 66% since 2012. Division home dogs, 24-7, 77%, 82% since 2012. And division home dogs of 1.5 or more, Andy, 79% and 85% going 17-3 since 2012. Wow. Basically, I'll say this. Friends don't let friends bet many Week 1 NFL division home dogs.
So when we look at this chart, you're not saying like blindly bet it. Well, maybe you're saying blindly bet. History tells us this, but it's more of just a tool in your toolbox to look at. Like if there is a division home dog that you like, that this is kind of one of your reasonings for it.
Well, you got to be number one. There's times I cherry pick numbers, right, to get a wow number in between. But you can see these are just basics. There is no cherry picking here. So when you have this type of sample size for this type of length, when I start looking at division dogs and division home dogs, I may not bet those teams blindly, but it'll be a hell of a long shot for me to bet against that trend. So you're not always having to bet trends, but remember, leaving a loser off versus putting a winner on is advantageous because you're saving that 10%. So if there's 2 games you wanted to use and they were both division favorites, away favorites, and you say I'm going to leave them both off the board and they split, you still saved yourself 10%. So you may not want to play them all, but be very careful playing against those solid trends of those percentages with that length of time.
Yeah, it's so important. What do we say? Sometimes the best bets you make are the ones you leave off the card. So those charts, if it talks you out of a play that you're on the fence about, it's worth its weight in gold. So great stuff from Ralph Michaels here. So one more time, Ralph, $5 Tuesday. Tell us about it.
$5 Tuesday, but I do want to mention I do have a 5% up at WagerTalk for college football this Friday. My college football 5% went 4-0 last year. I finished number 2 in college football in the season behind Mr. Ross Benjamin. And my NFL and college football regular season bets 17-2, 90%. Check it out, wt.buzz/RM.
All right, Ralph Michaels, thanks so much for joining us. Good stuff. Good stuff. Take a screenshot of that chart if it helps your handicapping in week 2. So, all right, let's do the Steam report. Literally right before we were going to go to the Steam report to start the show, my feed went out. I was joking. Johnny was just reminding us. He does the Steam report. We're just posers here. All right, let's take a look here at Thursday college football. See if we missed any key numbers here. NC State, looks like we missed that key number. If you haven't bet that one, it opened at -12. That's up to -14. Akron has taken some money. They were, let's see, Wyoming was -9.5. It's now down to -7. So if that dips below that touchdown, you could probably see some buyback. A lot of money has come in on Rutgers. They opened -10.5. They're all the way up to -15.5. So they've gone through that 13, 13.5, and 14. I even see a book at -16. And if we want to look ahead to Friday, if you guys want to try and get out of some of those moves, money is coming in on San Jose State. They open -10.5. It's just a 1-point move, but you're seeing 11.5s pop up against Central Michigan. Money has come in on Charlotte. Appalachian State is down to -6.5. We went through that key number of 7. So we went from -8.5 down to -6. And the other big move is on Sam Houston State. They opened up at 13.5-point dogs. They're now down to 10.5. So if you like Sam Houston State, I would get on them before that thing moves to 10. And we have a 1-point move on Georgia Tech against Colorado, -3.5. That's now up to -4.5. I guess there's a big move in Michigan State, but it's a huge number. 17.5 they opened. It's now 20.5. So you want to lay the wood. You got to get those 3 touchdowns. So we can look at baseball here. Not a lot of movement that I see. When we go over baseball, it's just not a lot of bets have been made at this point. So only moves I really see. Some money's come in on St. Louis. Some money has come in on the Cubs, fading Verlander here, who I believe is 1-10 this year. Absolutely stunning for Verlander's 1-10. He hadn't pitched that bad. The Athletics of all teams are taking a little bit of money. I guess people don't like Morton here. Detroit opened -140. They're down to -125. And Houston opened at -340. One book now has them at -375. I would just say be careful laying -375 against this Colorado Rockies team that ends up winning like 1 out of 3 games and just crushes everyone's parlay. So be careful on that one. And then there's some movement on the over on the Seattle and San Diego game, 7.5. That's up to 8. I see an 8.5 popping up there as well. So those are your MLB Steam. If you want any WNBA, over in Phoenix and Los Angeles, over in Seattle and Indiana. I feel like every time we talk about Steam and WNBA, it's just like the overs, like 6-7 point moves. So, all right, Chris, let's go to all around the world. Let's give the people some free plays. I had some fun yesterday. We missed the Asia Wilson, but we hit that 3-1 over on the alt line on the Brewers game, and then we hit the soccer free play on Solid to have a point. So that was a good day for all around the world. All right, let's go to the Mercury and the Sparks. Rakia Jackson over 1.5 made threes. This is the best prop that is going in sports right now, and nobody knows about it. She's gone over in 8 games. The books have not moved this number. Her volume of shooting is way up. She's averaging 7 3-point attempts this month, and the shooting percentage is through the roof. She's been on fire. This has been one of the easiest bets you can make this month. So is she going to continue this into 10 straight made games, 12? I don't know, but if you've been making off Rakia Jackson, keep going back to her. Rays at the Guardians. This one comes off of the Wager Talk free picks page. Take a look at the Rays money line here. The Rays won, they're 3-0 last week. They won 9-0. And this is crazy. Guardians, they've lost 6 straight. What, they have 0 runs in like the last 28 innings? Or like the Guardians' bats have just been anemic. So getting Rays at plus money is interesting. And then we mentioned the Diamondbacks and Brewers yesterday. I'm going right back to this Brewers team. Over 4.5 on their team total. Fat for Arizona. 18 earned runs last 28 innings. The Brewers put up 7 last night against Arizona after losing 2 straight. Maybe their offense is back on track. I'm willing to believe it. So let's take a peek at the Brewers here. All right. Yeah, Roger, we mentioned there's a little bit of steam on the Cubs. I would expect a lot of steam to come in throughout the course of the day. You got to remember when we're recording this right now, it's 12:20 Eastern time. It's only 9:20 out in Vegas and out west. So you got to believe that there's going to be a lot of money on a public team like the Cubs and then fading that Verlander. So let's bring in Bryan Power here. Let's talk some college football. Let's talk some MLB. And we also got to talk the Blitz. Bryan, first show was last week. It was great. So tell us real quick about the Blitz. It's going to be every Thursday right after this show.
Yes, every Thursday live at 1 p.m. Eastern. We take your guys' questions. I see some questions actually rolling in right here about college football. Guys, if you want your question on this week's college football slate, guaranteed to be answered, tune into the Blitz 1 p.m. Eastern Thursday, immediately following Andy and WagerTalk Today. I'll be joined by Ralph Michaels, who you just heard. Not sure who the other person is, but it will be another one of our top college football handicappers. And we'll just, again, this is a special week, too. It's a great week to watch if you missed last week. Because last week, we went in depth on all 5 games. This week, we want to cover as much as possible. There's games Thursday, there's games Friday, there's games Saturday, there's games Sunday, there's games Monday. Anything you want to know about, ask away. We'll get to it. Obviously, some big matchups, Ohio State, Texas, LSU, Clemson, got Notre Dame, Miami on Sunday. Even if you want to know about the smaller matchups, that's what we're here for. 1 p.m. Eastern live. You got to tune in live if you want that question answered.
Oh, man, I can't wait to come with some bizarro questions for the panel. You guys, there's going to be some questions coming out of nowhere from me, Bryan. You just guaranteed that you have to answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. The answer is hand. Thank you very much. I don't need a comb or a brush. We just take a little gel, use the hand, leave it all messed up. That's the answer, buddy. Tell you what, the hair's going a little gray, but I was blessed with a lot of it, Andy. That's so at least I got something going for me in that regard.
Hey, that's the big win. That's the big win right there. So, all right, let's jump into some. Let's start with college football here. Let's take a look at the Wisconsin and Miami of Ohio team. I mean, this is a Miami team. Correct me if I'm wrong. They lost all 11 offensive starters. They only have 3 defensive starters, but it's a brand new team. This is crazy. Wisconsin, I know they got that new transfer quarterback from Maryland. They are returning some offensive linemen. I was reading that the history is terrible for Miami when they face out of conference opponents early in the season. Mm-hmm. Like they beat like one of them in the last 20 years. What's your take on this game here? This has got to be a tough one to handicap. I mean, how can you possibly predict what we're going to get from Miami in this one?
Well, I'm going to try. I think that's why you're having me on. So hopefully we all learn a little something. I have hung out at both of these campuses, by the way, in a long time ago. Both fun places, Madison, Wisconsin, and Oxford, Ohio, if you ever had a chance. But let's tell you what's going to happen. Let me tell you what's going to happen in the football game here. Wisconsin, what do you need to know? 22-year bowl streak was snapped last season, Andy. They finished just 5-7 straight up, improving on that win total here in 2025. Going to be pretty tough. Why? Because the Badgers face arguably the toughest schedule in the entire country this year. They draw 8 of the top 11 teams in the Big Ten. Yes, let me repeat that. 8 of the top 11 teams in the Big Ten, which is an 18-team conference. College football has some trouble with math. That's okay. But they also face Alabama in the non-con. Why do I bring that up? Well, I think it's pretty imperative for Luke Fickell to have a strong start these first 2 games, which are against Miami of Ohio, more on them in just a second, and then Middle Tennessee next week. Because if they want to get back to a bowl this year, they've got to – you would expect they're going to win regardless these first 2 weeks. But I think in terms of building confidence for the rest of the season, Andy, they need to look good. So you mentioned some of the history here and how it is not exactly smiling on Miami of Ohio. More often than not, they take their lumps in the non-conference portion of the schedule before ramping up and competing for a MAC title. I know the MAC well. I went to a MAC school. Miami's just 12-30 straight up under Chuck Martin against non-conference opponents. On top of that, how about 0-8 against the number, their last 8 road openers? And this one figures to go pretty poorly because Wisconsin, as you'd expect, has had the max number, 23-0 straight up the last 23 games against MAC opponents. They've covered 15 of those 23. So the question is, you mentioned the big number here. Can Wisconsin cover it? It's very interesting. We have a 17.5-point favorite here. Let's not bury the total, Andy, as well. A total of 39.5. So we have a 17.5-point favorite and a total of 39.5. My view, Badgers probably going to win pretty big here. Again, I think it's really important for that for a strong start, build confidence for the rest of the season, given the schedule that awaits. I like, you referenced this, Andy, at the top of the breakdown. I like what Fickell did in the transfer portal. The team got a lot stronger in the trenches on both sides of the ball. That Phil Longo hire, when they brought him in, that was a kid. Nobody wants to run an air raid in Madison, Wisconsin. That was a curious hire. So I'm glad he's out of there. I think in Madison, they're glad he's out of there. We're going to see a return, I think, to a traditional style of Wisconsin football. And then you mentioned it, Miami, Ohio, losing all 11 starters from last year on the offensive side of the ball makes it pretty tough sledding for game one. I would play Wisconsin both first half and full game here. I think they run away from them pretty quickly and then hold on for a big win, maybe about 2% on each.
You're right. An air raid in Madison, Wisconsin in December.
Yeah, they didn't want that.
It's not going to go very well in 0 degree weather. Madison, unbelievably fun party college town.
Yes.
Just unbelievable. They know how to party. My family's from up there. They know how to get down in Wisconsin. All right. A couple questions here while we have you on. Carson Beck, any thoughts on Carson Beck? We got questions. Justin says he's looking to fade Miami against the spread as much as possible this year. Agree, disagree, or is this just week one?
I'm going to probably try to find a way to. Well, I think I talked about it last week, Miami and Florida. Was it last week, 2 weeks ago? It was one of those 2 weeks that I was on. We talked about Miami and Florida and how it is tough to invest your money in Mario Cristobal, especially in a big game. I get the trepidation with backing the Canes against the Notre Dame team that obviously played for a national championship last year. But God, part of me, I know when Sunday rolls around, I'm going to be looking to probably get involved in the Miami side as a home dog. I think Notre Dame takes a step back. Let's not forget their quarterback situation. I think that's more important in a true road game right off the rip. I would not be looking to go big on North. That's what I'll say for this game. I have not made a decision, but I can tell you with 95% confidence, I will not be on Notre Dame as a side.
All right, well, let's move to MLB here, and let's talk the Phillies and the Mets. Luzardo for Philly, Manaea by the Mets. Manaea has absolutely been lit up the last 4 starts. You know me, I love team totals. I am staring hard about this team total to fade Manaea. But what's your breakdown on this game?
Well, maybe a little bit different here. Let's talk about what we saw yesterday first before we talk about today. Phillies took money yesterday in the market. I don't know if that was on the Steam report or not. And that did not work out too well because the Phillies lose the series opener by a score of 13-3. There's not going to be a lack of motivation on either side here, guys. Obviously, some teams have fallen out of contention. That's a big part of the handicap as we roll into September in Major League Baseball. Some teams just do not care. But the Phillies, they're looking to expand their lead in the division, not to mention they're also competing for a first-round bye come playoff time. But even after the big win last night, I think the Mets still probably the more motivated team here. And it doesn't necessarily guarantee victory, obviously. But not only are they chasing the Phillies in the division, but the Mets have to worry about the Reds, who are only 2.5 games in the rear view in the race for that last NL wild card. So similar to yesterday, I actually disagree with the way this line is moving. I think at home, where they have a 42-24 record, the Mets should be slight favorites in this game. This is a team that, remember, had the best record in all of baseball back on June 12th. I know that was a while ago. Okay, they were 45-24 overall at the time, just 25-37 cents. But overall, you have to keep a big picture in mind. You cannot. I always preach this on these breakdowns I do here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. You can't fall victim to recency bias. I know 2 months is kind of a long time, but overall, I think the Mets are still a lot closer to the top than they are the bottom of the league. I still have them power rated in the top 10. Now, will they go 11 for 19 with runners in scoring position again like they did last night? No, probably not. But worth noting, Philly starter Jesus Luzardo, and this is where I'm willing to get involved with the Mets, Andy. Why? Luzardo has been guilty at times of tipping pitches, and he's had 4 starts where he's allowed 6 or more runs in 5 or fewer innings. So I think the offense could be there for the Mets. You mentioned Manaea. He has absolutely struggled in August. Team's 0-4 his last 4 starts. But you look at expected versus actual ERA. I know the commenters love when I bring up expected ERA. He has a 3.77 expected ERA versus a 5.15 actual ERA. So that's a sign he's pitched actually a little bit better than what some of the traditional numbers will tell you. Also, he's a lefty, and this is key. Because since the break, Phillies bottom 10, both batting average and WRC plus against lefties. Furthermore, 23.3% strikeout rate against southpaws for the season. And yes, the Mets have done well at home against the Phillies this season and beyond. So I'd like to take a small flyer on the New York Mets here. This is a 3% client play.
Oh, nice. Good. All right. So we just got a free 3% client play on the Mets there. All right. I'm still going to look at that Phillies team total over. Maybe they can win big.
Yes, there you go.
Mets win like
7-6. We're all happy. Yeah, exactly. There we go. There we go.
All right, Brian, once again, tell us about the Blitz one more time. It's live. It's interactive. You guys go on there and ask as many questions as you want about the college football slate. One more time, tell us about the Blitz and tell them what you have up for $5 Tuesday.
Yeah, we're going to start with the biggest games, obviously, such as Texas, Ohio State. But any game you want to know about, jump in there 1 p.m. Eastern, like Andy just said, immediately following Wager Talk Today on Thursday. So Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Get those questions ready. We'll talk Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even TCU, North Carolina on Monday, if you are so inclined. Gave you a lot of great information on the program last week. I know that I did, unfortunately, get my big play wrong over the weekend on Kansas State. I thought they outplayed Iowa State for the record, but no one cares because they lost the game. But every other game, I think I was right on the show that we talked about. So tune in again. I have of course, we've been talking, and you see on your screen right there, it is $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk.com. My best bet, a 4% play, is currently available for you. Guessed it, $5. I've won 5 straight in MLB, Andy. Perfect 5 and over the last 3 days. I believe that has me atop the leaderboard over at WagerTalk.com. So WT.buzz/BP as we look. I gave you the Mets for free. Got one more for you. We look to make it 7 in a row after tonight on the diamond.
All right, I'll be pulling for you. 7-7-7. Let's go for it. Thanks, Brian. Have fun on the Blitz. Can't wait to join you. Thanks so much for joining us. Great breakdowns. Let's go to Contender Series here real quick. We're going to do this. We're going to do this every week where I will look at the Contender Series matchups and I'll try and make a case for the underdogs. So let's pull up the screen here. We'll start in the main event here with Ryan Gaudra and Trent Miller. The case for Trent Miller is that he can get this to the ground. He's much better on the ground. If he keeps it on the feet, he's going to get blasted and he's going to get knocked out. Gaudra is by far the better striker, but Trent Miller has looked good on the ground at times. Does that translate to getting a contract on Contender Series? Not so much, but if he can get a finish on the ground, he'll get one. That's the case for Trent Miller. I'm going to come back to this next fight. Let's move to Christian Perez and Sosa. I actually really like Christian Perez in this one. Sosa has been around the block. He's fought in Bellator. He's fought in PFL. He's fought really good level competition, but I think Perez has the better upside. He's taken basically a year and a half off from MMA. He did fight in karate combat. I love that he took a year and a half off. This guy has like 14 pro fights at age 26. His striking is good, and if you watched face-offs, my gosh, does he have a huge cheering section for him. He looks confident, looks like he's finally grown into his full, powerful body. I like Perez to get it done by decision here. Dante Johnson and Abby. The only case for Abby is if Dante Johnson tires himself out beating the you-know-what out of Abby in the first round, because that's what he's going to do. Abby, like this Darian Abby's not very good, but Dante Johnson's way shorter, but he's way powerful. He's going to hit him a million times in the first round. If Abby does not get knocked out, maybe he can get the win if Johnson tires out, but that one's tough. Damian Wilson and Mario Barbosa. Wilson, he has incredible knees in the clinch. He's knocked out 2 guys with knees in the clinch, which you don't see very often. But if this stays at range, Barbosa all day. And then this Alec Lorenz, I cannot make a case for him. I can't make a case for him. He's not good. His striking isn't good. His takedowns are not good. I think he gets melted in the first round. I mean, it's minus 1,100 for a reason, but I cannot, in good faith, say, yeah, sprinkle a little bit of money on this dog. Just can't. So that's your Contender Series breakdown of my $5. Best bet for today is in Contender Series. We hit our best bet last week, so we're looking to make that 2 in a row. So, all right, Chris, let's do the weekly recap here real quick, and we'll get out of there. If you guys could hit the like button. Every week, you guys, hey, let's talk recap, but let's talk our portfolio. So here we go. Last week was an incredible week. We went 18-6 for plus 24 units. That's if you flat bet. If you follow different percentages, calculate them all on your own. NFL was good. WNBA was good. MLB just lost a little. Soccer. MMA was great. Golf was fantastic. Cricket was fantastic. I really don't have any I don't have any problems with any bets that we did. So it was a much needed big boost to the bankroll. So we have a 30-day special up. The promo code is Andy30. It gets 50% off 30-day special. So we're coming off of a huge week, looking to add to the profits. These are all bets that I bet with my own money. So that was a really nice week for all of clients. So, and then we did our portfolio last week, and people said they liked looking at it. So, all right, I'll share my personal portfolio where I am. Leave us a comment if you're interested in this or if you want nothing to do with it, so we can pull that up real quick, Chris, and I can show everybody where I'm at. One of the reasons why the week was big is I've had to pull money out of my sports betting bankroll for my new business. I need to invest in my business. The production company is doing really good. Overall for the year, stocks and crypto are good for the year, but the prices are going down. And it's getting ready to be a good time to buy stuff. I got my eye on Bitcoin. This is not financial advice. I'm just an idiot on the internet. It's just really expensive launching this new business, but I was able to take a chunk from last week's winnings and invest it into that. So I'm building my production company and my new business is up. I'm going to continue to try and put money into those businesses and into stocks and cryptos while it's dipping down now, and I'm going to try to avoid as much personal spending as possible. I'm terrified, but really excited over the next 6 months. But for me, it's buckle up, don't spend a lot of cash, and keep those investments coming. So, but sports betting bankroll has been pretty good this year, down a little bit, but the last 2 years have been really good, and we're coming off that big week. So I have high hopes for the rest of the year. So, all right, yeah, Javi said the same thing about Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, this thing I'm looking right now, it's down to 109. This is the lowest it's been in a month, and it tends to do this every fall. You got to look at the fall. It just kind of dips below. So I'm trying to pick my spots. I don't have a lot of cash sitting aside ready to get in there, but I'm with you 100%, Javi. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. It's $5 Tuesday. We're going to have a great Tuesday. I just know it. Get as many $5 plays as you want. Make sure you're betting responsible, though. We don't want a huge chunk of our bankroll and a bunch of plays just on a Tuesday, but try out as many handicappers as you want. Try your favorite. Try a new one. Helps to see if you vibe with a handicapper if you really like their write-ups. But really appreciate everybody in the chat, and leave us a comment. Tell us what your best bets are. So, the kid, Bryan Power, looks like a vacuum salesman. Do they even have those anymore, Chris? Is it a thing, vacuum salesman? Like, yeah, like there used to be door-to-door vacuum salesman when I was a kid. I haven't seen a door-to-door vacuum salesman. Like, why would you need that when there's Amazon and Walmart.com? I don't even know if they make vacuum salesmen anymore, but appreciate the comment. He'll get a kick out of that. So, all right, that's going to do it for us. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. Hit that like button on your way out. Much love. Good luck on your bets tonight. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same place. Take care.